Seemingly in stark contrast to the Jewish propensity during the 20th century to deny the existence of race, in 1941, an American Jew, Theodor N. Kaufman, called for the systematic extermination of Germans in his book, Germany Must Perish. Quote, "Since Germans are the perennial disturbers of the world's peace, they must be dealt with like any homicidal criminals. But it is unnecessary to put the whole German nation to the sword. It is more humane to sterilize them. The army groups, as organized units, would be the easiest and quickest to deal with. The population of Germany, excluding conquered and annexed territories, is about 70 million, almost equally divided between male and female. To achieve the purpose of German extinction, it would be necessary to only sterilize some 48 million, a figure which excludes, because of their limited power to procreate, males over 60 years of age and females over 45. Taking 20,000 surgeons as an arbitrary number, and on the assumption that each will perform a minimum of 25 operations daily, it would take no more than 1 month, at the maximum, to complete their sterilization. The balance of the male civilian population of Germany could be treated within 3 months. Inasmuch as sterilization of women needs somewhat more time, it may be computed that the entire female population of Germany could be sterilized within a period of 3 years or less. Complete sterilization of both sexes, and not only one, is to be considered necessary in view of the present German doctrine that so much as 1 drop of true German blood constitutes a German. Of course, after complete sterilization, there will cease to be a birth rate in Germany. At the normal death rate of 2% per annum, German life will diminish at the rate of 1,500,000 yearly. Accordingly, in the span of 2 generations, that which cost millions of lives and centuries of useless effort, namely the elimination of Germanism and its carriers, will have been an accomplished fact. By virtue of its loss of self-perpetuation, German will have atrophied and German power reduced to negligible importance." Unquote. Kaufman's book was mentioned and advertised in a number of American newspapers, and unsurprisingly, it flipped out the National Socialists in Germany, who promoted it as part of an international Jewish conspiracy to wipe out ethnic Germans. Many would consider the German response paranoid and opportunistic. However, in 1921, David Francis, the American ambassador to Russia, reported that, quote, "The Bolshevik leaders here, most of whom are Jews and 90% of whom are returned exiles, care little for Russia or any other country, but are internationalists, and they are trying to start a worldwide social revolution." Unquote. Moreover, according to published statistics in 1934, the Soviet Union leadership was over 38.5% ethnically Jewish, and this same regime had intentionally starved 6 to 7 million Ukrainians between 1932 and 1933, with Jewish men like Lazar Kaganovich being largely responsible. As one communist leader said regarding the Ukrainian genocide, quote, "Famine in the Ukraine was brought on to decrease the number of Ukrainians, replace the dead with people from other parts of the USSR, and thereby to kill the slightest thought of any Ukrainian independence." Unquote. As controversial as it may be for me to say, perhaps the German concerns in 1941 weren't entirely unreasonable given past and contemporary events. In the September 26, 1941 issue of the Canadian Jewish Chronicle, Kaufman further defended his plan for the sterilization of all Germans, saying, quote, "I believe that the Jews have a mission in life. They must see to it that the nations of the world get together in one vast federation. Union now is the beginning of this. Slowly but surely, the world will develop into a paradise. We will have perpetual peace, and the Jews will do the most to bring about this confederation because they have the most to gain."
It's a huge transformation for Europe to make. They are now going into a multicultural mode, and Jews will be resented because of our leading role.
למה זה מאיים שיהיו פה עוד מיליון אפריקאים?
זה מאיים כי לא תהיה פה מדינה יהודית.
In 1943, a similar but less direct plan advocated by a Jewish anthropologist at Harvard University, no less, Ernest Hooten, had the aim to, quote, "encourage also the immigration and settlement in the German states of non-German nationals, especially males. The objects of this measure include reduction of the birth rate of pure Germans, neutralization of German aggressiveness by outbreeding, and denationalization of indoctrinated individuals." Unquote. In blatant contradiction, however, Hooten had previously written in 1936 that, quote, "each racial type runs the gamut from idiots and criminals to geniuses and statesmen. no type produces a majority of individuals from either end of the scale. While there may be specific racial abilities and disabilities, these have not yet been demonstrated. There are no racial monopolies, either of human virtues or of vices," unquote. People might be tempted to assert here that the ideas of Hooten and Kaufman were not widely known at the time, but they were, and they had real-world consequences. For example, German authorities cited Kaufman when they deported the Jews from Hanover in 1941.